may find yourself at the one to these features, looking up the slope, going, "Well, the car's not going to be able to do that." It'll make it every time. As I say, they're very, very capable. Most people have. Oh, your door's open there.
Oh, sorry.
The wrong idea about off-road. I blame Top Gear for this, because whenever you see a Top Gear presenter in a 4x4, the car's being hooned around a quarry somewhere like it's on a rally stage. Now, fair enough, on rally stages, the idea is to get around as quick as you can. But then you've got a bunch of mechanics who appear out of the woodwork to repair or maybe replace the bits the drivers have bent and broken. In extreme off-road, which is what our course simulates, you might be away from civilization for a long time, so you've got to drive the car in a sustainable way. All about doing the very least that you need to achieve whatever it is that you want to. So, broadly speaking, there are 3 principles to off-road driving: traction, momentum, and anticipation.
Traction, momentum, anticipation.
Traction is what we've got now. It's just the car putting its power down the surface. So driving over, it'll keep us going for quite a lot of time out there. But we're going to encounter a couple of obstacles that are too steep or slippery for that to work. You have to attack those a bit. So your momentum carries you through the bit where you don't have grip until you get traction back again. Then you can go back to pootling around. And anticipation is simply the gentle art of working out which of the other 2 you're going to need on a given feature. Now, because we're going around a set course, we won't need to get out of the car and eyeball anything before you try and drive it. But you can imagine if you're doing it for real, you couldn't just drive through a river. You'd need to know how deep the water was for starters, which would actually involve getting out of the car and walking through it first, which we won't make you do today. So the only reason we're going to need to alight from it out there is if you get it stuck, and the rules there are dead simple, Mohammed. If you get it stuck, Bilal gets out and pushes. It is the only reason we do it today. So it's a very capable off-road car. Sorry, you had a question. A couple of feet of water, 60 centimetres of water. So you might have a measuring stick or something like that in real life. Okay, so what have we got that turns this into an off-road car? Now, I'm sure you know all about differentials and stuff like that, so I don't need to explain that stuff, why that's on the car. I'm just going to a slightly different display here. That's the one we want. Okay, so 3 lockable differentials. The first one, the centre diff, obviously just distributes the drive between the 2 ends of the car. Now, the system doesn't torque vector or anything like that. It's a fixed amount of drive, fore and aft. We'll lock the centre diff when we're making ascents, for example, so as the front of the car unweights, those will start to lose grip. Having the centre diff lock basically means that you've still got drive from the back of the car on steep ascents. You can also lock the rear and front diffs though, rear first then front. So effectively when all 3 diffs are locked, you've got 25% of drive at each corner.
So all the power is distributed equally.
It's not quite true, but if you think of it like that, that's the easiest way to button that one down. So what it effectively means is, even if only one tyre has grip, you still have drive. And we've also got low range, Top Gear in low range, somewhere between 2nd and 3rd in high range, so it's a big old drop, and it gives us more time and more control over some of the features. In fact, for the whole time we're on the off-road course today, we are going to put it into low range. So in fact, I may as well just lock it into that now for you. Good.
So there's a button for low range right there.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to change sides now. Don't fall out.
It's quite high.
Hold that.
Seat adjusters on the door here, so whichever of the segments you move in that array, the seat will do the same thing for you. If you need to move the steering wheel around, it's on that little joystick there. The whole thing moves up, down and in and out, so there's a Mohammed-shaped cylinder position somewhere in there. Good luck finding that. Wing mirrors, select and adjust. The rear view though done by hand. Seatbelt on. Shall I think on this one? Yeah, just get yourself nice and... So, to put it into drive, just foot in the brake and push the selector down as far as it goes. Now just release... your door is still open. So just let the car do its thing. And you'll find that it will trundle over here quite happily. Now what I'm going to do, I'll put it into manual 1 now, so we get a controlled descent. So the point there, you don't need to see the car just holds us back there.
I can see
so even on a nice steep slope, if we're going down as in manual 1, the car's never going to run away. Okay, take it over manual for now. Just for now, drive it normally.
The strong locks on the g-wagon.
Absolutely.
Feels like you're closing a vault.
probably not far off the truth, I'd say. Okay, when we get to the barrier at the far end, we're going to be turning sharp right.
Okay.
I'm actually going to take the track that goes between these two trees.
Okay.
So this is another foot off moment.
Okay.
Said that, yeah, you got a negative turning right, positive turning left.
Okay.
Having said that, there are instances in a sense where a little bit of steering can help us. We're going to come down into this gully here.
Okay.
And we're just going to follow it around the corner, at which point you will come to a dead stop. We'll see why in a moment.
All right. What is the ground clearance on this?
I'm not sure what the initial ground clearance is, but as I say, we can
get this.
Yeah, we can clear. We can wait.
Because you sit very high up.
Yeah, okay. Just sit here for a minute. Okay. Now, on the ascent, we want to go up once polished by tens of thousands. Smooth feed of power. We're looking for a target speed on the ascent of about 3 miles an hour.
3 miles. Okay.
So bring that back to 0. And just gently feed the power in. Try and keep the car moving uphill. Keep moving. Keep the tension on the gas pedal. A little bit more. Keep going. Now don't stab the gas. Okay. Okay, and you just, that's it. Gently feed it in.
Okay.
A sudden stab on the gas, of course, is going to break traction.
Yeah, traction, yeah.
And that's as bad as hitting the brakes. Okay. Actually. Okay.
Brake.
Now we can lose that centre.
Okay.
Come down to the right here. I've taken the centre diff out. Again, foot off the brake.
Okay.
Because the
low
car,
descent, yeah.
we're in low range, so it's a controlled descent. In fact, we can modulate that simply if we select manual 2.
Okay.
There it is. Oh, okay. It's still a control.
So just by 2 double clicks, it will do that. Yeah. Okay. So which way are you going? That's straight on. Okay.
Okay. Now you want to look at tilting the car. Yeah. Here's the
reassuring.
Yeah. Well, we can tilt the car to around 30 degrees before it even thinks about lying on its side. Yeah, they're big, tall cars, of course they are, but all of the heavy stuff, engine, drivetrain, is quite low down. Yeah. So they're very stable.
Center of gravity is low. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we're just following the track round to the left here at the end. Okay. We're watching a couple of vehicles come down the ski slope at the moment. We're going to end up coming down there ourselves.
Let's zoom in on that. The zoom is on the left side here. So then you can zoom in. Okay, so left here.
Round to the left here, and then we're taking the second track on the right. The one just past.
Shall I give them way or?
The trees. Yeah, give way to them because there's somebody else coming down there. Okay. As it's an off-road experience.
Yeah, let it. Okay.
It's a hell of a puddle, I think.
Yeah, my car will be stuck here.
And then we're coming around to the right here, so into this track.
Okay, that track.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, now I notice you haven't got your seatbelt on in the back there. It's fine because where we're going now, the seatbelt would lock you in. You wouldn't be able to get the shot that you need.
Okay.
But once we come through this, if you could just pop the belt back on for me again. Okay. We're now going to do something called a cross-axle twist.
Okay.
Now, in fact, we can do this without locking the differentials, but I'm going to lock them just so you can see what they do. So we're going to come into the gully, tilted up your side.
Okay. Okay. So turn right.
Yes. When it's slippery, there's not that much grip, so coming up too high means the car will side slip. Okay. And actually, just putting the wheels down at the bottom of the V stops that from happening. So come forward a little bit further, yeah.
Okay.
A little bit more, keep coming. Okay, we're good there.
Okay.
You're now going to stop us here. We're now going to apply one full turn of left-hand lock. So when that says 24, stop steering. Oh, 23 in fact, 23, that's it. Okay, ease off the brake a little bit. Okay. Now the next thing we've got to do is try and drive the car up this side of the gully.
Okay.
Now the idea here is when the bonnet is level with the flat step at the top of the V, just below the mirror there, you're going to just get back onto the brakes. In fact, we've got a hold facility there. If you can apply it so we get hold there, you can then release the brake, and the car will sit there quite happily.
Okay.
Okay. So just like we did on the ascent before, just gently feed the power. All you're doing here is telling the car to move forward. Quite a lot. Okay, we've got some wheel spin there, haven't we?
Yeah.
In your estimation, which wheel is spinning?
So that'll be
obviously the bottom right.
bottom right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first thing we can try and do to get around that is to lock that centre diff.
Okay.
Now, if it's the rear wheel spinning, locking the centre diff means that the car should be able to pull itself forward now, doesn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
Try again. Try feeding the power back in. Now we're getting wheel spin again, aren't we?
I think it's the front one.
Okay, which would tell us that it's back and front.
Yeah.
So now we need to try and get grip on one side or the other.
Okay.
So now we're going to lock the rear diff.
Okay.
Okay. Again, just feed the power back in. Now initially we'll get some wheel spin.
Yeah.
Now it's locked.
Yeah.
Drive the car forward again. And this time we've got drive, haven't we? Okay, stop us there. Foot on the brake. Next thing to do, just let's get rid of that. Just bring that back to 0 again. Okay. This is the point the car's going to do the cross-axle twist. In fact, if you look through your side window, not at your wing mirror, but at the mirror on the other side of the car.
Oh wow, okay.
You may be able to see the front wheels right off the ground.
It's off the ground, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we didn't have the car set up as we do now with those 2 lock differentials, certainly all the power at the front would be escaping through that wheel.
Yeah.
But in fact, there's a chance that the wheel behind me's losing grip as well.
Okay.
Okay. So keep the wheel as is. When we touch down, so when that wheel touches down, you're then going to turn right to straighten this up. Okay, give it a go. So we know we've got drive. Don't steer yet. Just keep it as it is. You should get a nice gentle transition. There it goes. Now you're going to turn right. Let's unlock those now. Get the wheels straight again when you can, and that will give you more traction back. So bring that back to 0 as soon as you can. Back to 0. You feel the car moves forward more easily when we've done that. Keep telling it to move forward. Okay. Now we're going to keep coming around to the right initially, but then we're going to come back to the left and stop between the 2 orange poles.
Okay.
And if you aim it at the right hand of the 2 tracks, you can see at the bottom there.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. Now, you would normally be discouraged from applying the brakes going off-road.
Yeah.
But having done our recce before we drove down here, we noticed that although it's steep and bumpy, it's very grippy.
Yeah.
So in fact, you are going to do this one on the brakes. So we're just literally going to lower the car down, bump,
control the
bump,
brake
until we get to the bottom. You're going to end up supporting 2.5 tons of car on your right foot. So keep us moving at this speed. You'll notice the way to do that is just to increase the tension on the brake pedal.
Yeah.
So in the same way for moving uphill, we're increasing tension on the gas pedal to move uphill. We can increase tension on the brake pedal to maintain the rate of descent on some slopes.
Okay.
Okay. A little something else we'll try here. Just stop the car for a moment.
Yeah.
Let's go back into high range for a moment.
Okay.
So if you just flick that into neutral, it's on that one there. Just lightly flick it upwards. That's it.
Yeah.
Back into drive again. Little
Surprise.
A little bit of a surprise.
That was a surprise. Definitely a surprise. That it makes sense. The bumpy road now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we're taking the second track on the left.
Okay.
And you're just going to release the brake. This is another one the car's going to do by itself.
Okay.
So don't touch the brake. Just leave the brake alone. Shouldn't need any gas either. There's a bit of a clonk because it's drops into quite a pothole there. Don't worry about the clonk here. Get the wheel straight as soon as you can. That's it. So, because the car weighs 2.5 tons, it's got a lot of natural momentum anyway.
Yeah.
And you couple that with a little bit of drive we have coming through the auto gearbox, even on idle drive, and it's sufficient to keep the car moving quite a lot of the time, isn't it?
Yeah.
I noticed that in high range,
Yeah.
Come off the brake, it's fine, just like the car trundle. The trundle speed comes up to 4 or 5 miles an hour, in fact.
Okay. How many hours? 4 or 5? Okay.
4 or 5 in high range, it's
Okay.
2 or 3 in low range.
Okay.
And just just keep following the track along.
Okay. Straight along now.
Yeah, keep following it along. So if you remember when we were coming into this area, we saw those two cars making their descent to the ski slope.
Yes.
So we're going to go up one side and then come back down the other.
Okay. So, with the G-wagon, when you have the near vertical window, you get a great viewing angle. So. Wow, it's very.
Yeah, if that's annoying you.
No, I mean the what's it called? The video.
Yeah.
The angle is the satellite image is very clear.
Yeah, didn't you hear the drone go up?
Yeah.
We've got our own drone.
Oh, you got your own drone?
No, it's a lie.
Why would you fall for that? I got that recorded me.
I fell for it. Oh, that's too clear.
It's simply a graphic imposed on pictures that we've got
around.
around.
Yeah, 360. Okay.
Round to the left. We're going to go up the left-hand side.
Okay.
Okay. Now try and pick a nice, clean path. Okay. Again, one side or the other, I would suggest.
I would, considering people are going to come from the right, maybe to the left.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because there's separation between the two. Okay. So hold it here.
Okay.
We're now going to lock the centre diff and lock the rear diff as well. And we're going to go back into low range for this as well.
Okay.
So lightly up into neutral there. That's it. Just push the low range button. Back into dry. Okay. Now, it's a drier, cleaner line. I think it's still in neutral there. Okay. Now, nice and slow on, and just try as we did before. Try and keep the car moving.
Okay.
So I want to try and do this in one smooth movement. If it doesn't, just hold the revs that you got, and we'll see where we go from there.
Okay.
Okay, let's give it a go.
Consistent speed.
Yeah. So just keep it moving at this speed. So keep feeding the power into it's a constant rate of climb. A bit more gas. Gently. Just gently squeeze the gas. Keep it moving. Okay. Don't overdo it. Just now we've hit a stopper there.
Okay.
Just hold the revs. Okay. You've got. Just get back onto the revs.
Okay.
I've got the brake. Don't worry.
I'll do
And just hold it so the car's on. Okay. Now slippery bit now, so we're probably okay. Okay. Sometimes you've got to be a little bit.
It's not the same speed. Yeah, that's what I was making the mistake.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's one of those. Turn us around. We're going to go back down the other side. It's one of those arts that you acquire. So actually, the way to judge it as the nose is rising versus the slope, you keep feeding the power in.
Yeah.
As long as the nose is going. The advantage of all the cameras on these cars is you don't always have to get out to see what's going on.
Yeah, you can see.
We'll be able to see that the way is clear. Just hold it here for a second. Trouble is the camera makes it look very flat.
Yeah.
It's steeper going down than it is coming up.
Okay.
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 Does it look like that?
Yeah.
Initially, the technique for the descent is very similar to the one that we used going down the stairs. So we're just increasing pressure on the brake pedal to maintain that rate of descent. But because it is so steep and slippery, of course, there's going to come a point when the car goes into a skid.
Okay.
What do you think your reaction is going to be when you feel that happening?
Skidding.
You just need to hold the steering straight, right? And then obviously if you're skidding,
what do you think your instinctive reaction will be?
To brake.
To brake harder.
Yeah.
But it's a 2.5 ton car and a 70% slope. Braking more is actually going to make matters worse.
Okay.
It takes a little bit of a leap of faith.
Okay.
But as you feel the car starting to skid, you're just going to ease all the way off the brake.
Ease up the brake. Okay.
And we'll then let low range manage the rest of the descent.
Okay.
If I feel the skid before you do, you'll hear me say off brake. But whichever feels it first, just get off the brake and let the car manage its own. Okay. So initially, just like we did going down the stairs, we're increasing the tension, that rate of descent. When you're ready, ease off. Now start your braking. So keep us moving at this speed. More brake, more brake, more brake. That's it. Off brake now. Now at that point the descent becomes a little bit untidy, but you get a soft landing at the bottom. Thanks to
the low range, definitely.
Oh, that was crazy.
Just as a little side note there, if that was a longer descent, you'd need to start accelerating.
Oh, you have to
accelerate?
Oh yeah. You need the wheels to be turning at the same rate that you're descending, otherwise you haven't got control, have you?
Oh, okay, yeah, you need to, the locks need to match it, okay, yeah.
Okay, round to the right.
Ah, okay, so that's actually something.
That requires a lot of faith, you know.
It does.
It does require a lot of faith, I agree. You have to trust the car.
In fact, let's come out of low range again, so it's not holding us back.
That's it, yeah.
Just into neutral.
Okay.
Back in drive. Yep, good. And we're taking the track straight in front of us here.
Okay.
A little bit of wading just to finish off for you.
Okay.
Now, as I said, we can wade the car in up to 60 centimetres, about 2 feet of water, without having to adapt it at all. The limiting factor is where the engine air intake is positioned. It's quite high up in these cars. We're nowhere near the car's limit here now, but you wouldn't want to open your door now. You get very
most
soggy,
certainly not. I mean, on the
trainers.
right, it's looking very soggy. If you can record the right.
Just follow this track along there.
Yeah, I'll definitely step out.
And then we're going to take the second track on the right. It's actually called the water crossing. There's the wave. Keep up with it. It's getting away. You need more power, more power, more power. Keep up with your wave. Coming around to the right here. Just keep up with the wave. There's the wave. Keep up with it. It's getting away. You need more power. Now that's the optimum way to get a car like this through deep water. The trouble with automatics is you can't slip the clutch and keep the revs up.
Control. Yeah. Okay.
All I would remark about that technique is if you're going along a flooded road, you've got a group of cars coming the other way, they won't thank you for making a bow wave.
Okay.
So you might have to go back to the bit where you're just creeping along.
Okay.
And there we go, guys. That is a very brief taste, a little oversight of the G-Wagon's off-road capability.
Definitely. Thank you very much for that.
We're not, I have to say, we're not really testing what it can do here.
Yeah.
That course was originally set up for MLs, which later became the GLEs.
GLEs, yeah.
The GLE can do everything here that can, but if you went into more rugged situations, I know which of the two cars I prefer to
Definitely, I agree. I mean, I'll choose the one with the rear light differential. Definitely. I mean, in terms of the G-Wagon, like off-road, snowy conditions, muddy conditions,
I mean,
everything.
It's still
every terrain.
Yeah, and it's still such an iconic car, isn't it?
Definitely.
It's got a real road presence.
Definitely, it's got a road presence. You can tell it's a premium luxury car when you see from a distance.
You can spot it from a mile away, like straight away. That's a G-Wagon.
Okay, I'll tell you a little bit about this bit of the estate as we head back towards the building.
Okay.
We're actually on part of the original Brooklands racetrack here. This is the Parle estate now.
Yeah.
We have looked at restoring it, and we're coming up to a test surface that we actually put in now about 10 years ago.
Right.
So, in fact, let's come over to this bit because you'll see this bit clearer.
Okay.
In the fading light. Okay, so this funny little ramp thing that we're coming up to here.
Yeah.
There's no one around, we're going to the kiddies course. This is the test surface, so we put a membrane down to protect the original surface, which is a national monument. Okay. And then built a second layer on top of it using the same materials as the original track is built from.
Right.
So if you go back to the summer of 1906, when the thing first opened, look around us now. This is the quality of the surface that we're racing on when it was a live track. And it's fairly far removed from the pristine tarmac you get on modern race circuits.
Yes.
If you look down to the far end of the straight, you can see the start of one of the circuit's bank corners. Now that's actually called the home banking, and it goes all the way around to that big concrete building in the distance there.
Right, okay, I see. Yeah.
So spectators could, and indeed still can, cross in the centre of the circuit via a bridge and stand on top of the banking. There's a safety barrier up there now, funnily enough. But when it was a live racetrack, there wasn't a barrier there. So the spectators were perched on the edge of the track looking down at the cars racing around beneath them.
Okay.
When you consider the banking's too steep to stand on the top, that must have presented one hell of a sight.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm assuming there might be some old footages online or something.
Absolutely. We've got a film that if you got to the cinema, I don't know if they're still running at this time, should be running, but there is some footage up there.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll have a look.
The reason we're here is because our brand was completely synonymous with the racetrack in its heyday.
Okay.
The main race on the first ever meeting, a race called the Montague Cup, was won by a fellow called J.E. Hutton driving a Benz car.
Yeah.
And then in 1909, a car called the Blitz & Benz set a world land speed record actually along the railway straight there, 123 miles an hour. Yeah. It didn't last long because it broke its own record over in the States 4 years later. But in 2013, the Blitz & Benz itself came back here for the first time in 104 years to revisit the site of its own former glory and commemorate the setting of that second record. And it's one of the things that makes working here so compelling, because you've got all this history.
All that rich history, definitely.
If we weren't here,
it must be an honor, literally.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
if we weren't here, this would be a housing estate or a business campus or something. So at least the site, the land is being used for the purpose that the Lock King family, who owned the land that the original site was built on, intended it for.
Exactly. And I'm assuming even Hamilton comes here as Hamden.
We see him, generally we'll see him a couple of times a year. As we get towards British Grand Prix, they do sponsor, McLaren, Mercedes do sponsorship events here.
Okay, yeah. MG Super 1, yeah. Definitely.
Absolutely it is. Okay, fellas, I will. And do you need to get any more shots of the car? Are you?
Can I get some more shots?
Yeah, I'll take us back to the. In fact.